Hello friends and welcome back for another episode of Indie Impressions. My name is Nick and today we're checking out Sunsets by Andi McClure. This is kind of a tough one to explain. I think I may have already seen mostly everything that the game has to offer just in the few minutes when I was testing the recording setup. But I still thought it was worth going ahead with an episode anyway just because it's so freaking interesting to look at and just really strange. So as you can see, we've got some very cryptic instructions here. Use arrow keys. Use control plus arrow keys. Type words. Do not be Icarus. I love that those things follow from one to the next and then do not be Icarus. And select to start 1, 2, or 3. I did try all 3 modes, and I'm not sure if I saw everything in all of them, but we're going to go through them little by little here and see what happens. I should warn you, this is another one of those epilepsy-inducing type games. So anyone who has trouble with flashing lights and colors, you may want to look away and or close the video, as much as I hate to see you go. So we're presented with a color wheel at the top right corner of the screen, which is actually us. That's our avatar. And then we've got a very interesting set of like fractals or something. I'm not really sure what you call that shape or that geometry. But I'm modifying what's going on here by using up and down on the arrow keys. And I can actually hold control, and that will steer around our color wheel, which is the source of all this stuff. And again, I'm sorry, I still don't really know what to call it. So I guess what we should probably do for a moment is, well, probably should test out its extremes, but I also can type words, and they show up, and they will, I guess they'll form solid surfaces that we can mess around with. It's got some really interesting effects to it, I have to say. I'm not really sure if there's anything particularly to this, but it's very pretty to look at. Or at the very least, it's very interesting. I don't know if everyone finds this pretty, but I consider it pretty. I also have kind of strange taste when it comes to this. I actually think this is like a pretty nice looking piece of abstract art right here that it just created on the fly. So if I type a few more words... Yeah, I typed the whole thing, but it doesn't stay on there. And if I move my color wheel over to it, what can I do with that? Anything? Well, I can hold down. Oh man. And then it all zooms out. And then if I go left and right, then we get all these crazy effects. Oh yeah. That's what we're up to. That's beautiful. I am indie impress. Alright, can we... I kind of want to find a nice, like, medium happy place where it's not too crazy, but at the same time it's also kind of worth it to push this and see where it breaks, if it breaks. I hope it doesn't break. Look at those crazy triangles that form underneath each one of those circles. It's sort of like one of those sand waterfall games, those like physics sandbox type games, only a lot more interesting to look at, in my opinion. You know, I say this a lot, but like I sometimes want games like this to turn out to be screensavers, but I think this one would really work. They actually had a game like that, if you remember, back in the old After Dark pack. There was one where you could set it to just drop little bits of sand everywhere, and it would accumulate on these various little lifts that were, I guess, randomly generated. You know, random stuff would happen to them. It was kind of fun to watch, so this is a similar feeling to that sort of vibe, and we're just in mode number 1 still. I'm still not exactly sure what's up with these circles and why they're like are random colors, and if there's even a reason to any of it. It might just be because circles were easy to make and look kind of cool. That's neat. Look at that crazy ghostly effect happening on the red sphere. And I blow it up. It actually almost looks like a river of chrome for just a split second. It's only the red one that seems to have that effect on. Oh, that one's gone now. Makes a neat little eclipse effect at the end too. So I don't want to linger on this too long, but I did want to really play around with this for a few minutes and see if anything really crazy and cool happens. Maybe I'll type a few more words. How about we hit the random keys for a while? I'm not sure why they seem to appear over there so often. Maybe it has something to do with where my color wheel is positioned. What if I type here? Now it's above me. What if I type here? Alright, so it does seem to be somehow tied to it. Words, yeah. Really not sure how it's tied to it, but it does seem to be. I'm sure there's some kind of interesting typography project you could make if you're a college student using this, I mean. Alright, so let's go back to the main menu and let's switch it over to a different mode. And I'll remember not to be Icarus. Mode 2. Alright, mode 2. We've got a pretty simple one shape going on, and it seems to be filling in those triangles all the way down. It's quite a pattern that it makes. It's really impressive. It's incredibly intricate. I wonder if you could, like, actually make a maze out of something like that. I'm sure this just has some sort of a numerical, a term that is used to describe this pattern, but I'm not a mathematician by any stretch of the imagination, so this is all foreign to me. I know that I have a few programmer friends that watch the show, so I'm sure probably one of you guys knows what it is. So we don't seem to have a color wheel to mess around with on this one. All we've got is just this shape. But there actually seems to be quite a bit we can do with it, like stretching it out like this. I know it's not really stretching, but it's giving the appearance that it's stretching. And then left and right, as we were doing before. If we go all the way left, it seems to make this pretty cool looking black and white, like Rorschach pattern. And then as we hit down, we're actually expanding the whole thing. And then if we go right again, it makes the Apple logo, apparently. No, not really. So we're stretching apart some sort of like a specular highlight or something. Look at that, and then it looks like it's one shape again. And it is moving subtly. But I think that may be all that this mode really has to offer for us. Still pretty cool. I'd love to see all the different color theory applications if this was involved with having a bunch of colors into it. You know, seeing them overlap and all different kind of highlight techniques that could be used. Like if you're playing with the properties menu in Photoshop, you can make some really crazy color schemes happen. Alright, well I guess there's not a whole lot else to see on this one, so let's go back and do number 3. Wait, did I do? I think I did 3 by accident on the second one, actually, yeah. Alright, so this is number 2, actually. The last one was 3. That'll be my gaffe for the video. I think we can deal with that one. Wow, that's interesting. It's a slightly different formula, I guess. And it's also tracking my shape, which it wasn't doing before. Oh, and now the arrow keys are actually steering the shape instead of having to hold control to do that. Now control... Okay, so the controls are swapped. Now holding control and arrow keys modifies the pattern. I'm not sure why it says speak, because I'm not speaking. Not speaking. I'm the king of spee. It's really interesting. And there's also an ambient noise, which is probably tuned way too low for you to really hear, but as I turn it from left to right, we're getting either a drone on the left, or from wind right about here, which is around the middle of whatever this scale is, to the appearance or sound of auditory appearance of sand. Auditory appearance, that's not a thing. Anyway, hopefully you understood what I was trying to say there. The auditory impression. You know, I use that word a lot. You'd think I'd be more familiar with using it in instances when it's actually useful. Alright, so I guess that's kind of all there is to see and do as far as I can tell. But I still had a really cool time playing around with this, and I could see a lot of interesting applications for it. If you're using this for video, perhaps, at least myself, having made a few crazy abstract type videos, I'm sort of imagining that this could be used as some pretty interesting transition and filler material in between. But that is, of course, if the developer doesn't mind. So look at that, it really does occlude or obscure the sand or whatever this pattern is. I still don't even know what to call it. The noise, I guess? It's sort of like noise. Yeah. Alright, well, before I run out of things to say entirely, I guess it'll be a pretty good moment to wrap things up. A very trippy, very interesting game. Well, I don't know if I would call this a game, but more of an interactive art experience. Sunsets, totally free. Go grab it. I'm going to put the link, as I always do, right in the description, so feel free to give it a try. And of course, if you can come up with anything else about this that I missed, I'm always happy to hear it in the comments. I am noticing that the path that it creates as I turn my wheel by moving, it seems like it may be oriented towards the white element of the color wheel. Like that's its focal point for where the sand or noise comes out of. But I could be wrong. Anyway, I think that's about enough for this one, so yeah, give it a download, tell me what you think. And any other practical applications you can come up with this for this, I would be curious to know about them. So, as always, when we wrap this show up, we pretty much always mention the website, which is www.indie-impressions.com. I forgot the dot in there, but hopefully you understood anyway. The links are all going to be in the description, so don't worry about it if you miss anything. Visit and check out all the videos, old and new. I have them all sorted so you can check them by tags, by genre, by distribution method. You can look at all the free ones, and you can leave comments on them, as always, too, and get possibly some free stuff down the line for it. Look at that, it's a pretty cool pattern, actually. And then there's also the Facebook page, facebook.com/indieimpressions. If you'd like to leave a like on that, then you'll get each day's new video delivered right into your Facebook feed, and it makes it nice and convenient, so you don't have to come looking for them. They'll all come to you. And I also do occasional news updates or contests right through there. And of course, you can always interact and say hey to myself or each of the other Facebook participants. So feel free to give a visit. I do appreciate it if you do. And lastly, if you want to get in touch with me quickly, or if you're an indie dev and you have a game you'd like to send over for a possible video, at RockLeeSmile is the quickest way to reach me, but I also have a contact form right on the website, so feel free to check that out. And any PMs, of course, are fine as well. But, you know, emails or Twitter are probably the quickest way to get in touch with me in general. So that is going to wrap us up for another episode. I hope you guys come back again, because I do a new episode every single day, looking at another different, artful, unique, wild, crazy, beautiful, terribly ugly indie game, and not really terribly ugly, but that has happened on occasion. And I use that in an artsy sort of way, not really that I'm criticizing the game. But that is it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again tomorrow. Have a nice night, guys. Later.